Good Tuesday morning and happy Veterans Day, everybody. I'm Dave Furtado.
And I'm meteorologist Jefferson Donovan.
And welcome to KEPR Quick, your latest local news and weather commercial free in about 25 minutes or less. We're going to jump right over to weather because, Jefferson, a lot of Veterans Day events are happening today, but we do have some fog to contend with in the early side of things, but that should make way for some sunshine, yes?
That's right. We are looking at some pretty dense fog this morning. Depending on when you tune in, you may have noticed that fog or you may not notice that fog, but just take our word for it. There is some really dense fog out there as we are starting off this Tuesday. By the afternoon, though, we will see passing clouds and sunshine. Now, for today, the weather in general is going to be pretty pleasant once we break out of the foggy conditions this morning. It's as we get towards Thursday that we are going to be looking at active weather returning to eastern Washington and northeast Oregon. In fact, some rainfall returning by Thursday, and we are going to have several opportunities for rainfall thereafter. We're also going to be looking at the possibility of some accumulating mountain snow that could make pass travel pretty tricky at times. We'll talk about all three of these weather headlines in more depth coming up.
Thanks, Jefferson. We begin this morning with the latest on the government shutdown, which is one step closer to coming to an end. On day 41 of the government shutdown, the Senate passed a compromise plan that now heads to the House for passage. Members of the House are heading back to D.C. to vote on that legislation this week. House members have been on an extended recess the past 8 weeks. The return comes after the Senate passed that legislation Monday in a 60-40 vote that saw 8 Democrats breaking ranks with their party to end the gridlock. Democrats have been holding out to get a tax credit extension they say would stop Affordable Care Act costs from skyrocketing. Members on both sides say health care needs to be fixed, but they have different takes on how to do that.
Situation, we have to fix it, but we can't bankrupt the country, continuing to subsidize Barack Obama and the Democrats' failed idea of Obamacare.
This so-called deal does not guarantee the extension of the healthcare tax credits. In fact, it guarantees that Republicans will vote against the extension, which is the exact opposite of what Democrats were fighting for.
Now, the government is still shut down, though, day 42 now, as that stopgap bill heads over to the other chamber. The bill funds much of the government through January, though it does not extend expiring Obamacare subsidies, but Republicans do agree to a vote on them by early next month. Also in the bill, funding for SNAP through September, ensuring shutdown back pay for federal workers, and prohibiting any more layoffs this fiscal year. Both Senators, Democrats Marie Cantwell and Patty Murray, voted no on the bill, as well as the procedural vote to consider it. Cantwell releasing a statement defending her vote, saying, quote, "This bill doesn't address the core issue that millions of Americans will no longer be able to afford ACA insurance coverage next year." Going on to say, quote, "I'm willing to work with anyone to create a path forward, but this isn't it." So what's next? Well, the bill now goes to the House, where a vote could come as early as Wednesday. House members are returning to D.C., and there's several stages the bill needs to get through before final passage. From there, it would head over to the Resolute desk. As far as when those federal workers will get paid, per the 2019 law passed after the last shutdown, it'll be at the earliest date possible after the lapse in appropriations ends, regardless of scheduled pay dates. So soon after the government reopens, but that'll be after the president's signature. It could still be a bit before checks hit accounts. A little bit closer to home this morning, Kennewick police say a man accused of secretly recording girls inside dressing rooms at Columbia Center Mall is now in jail. Police say during their investigation, they were able to get video footage and pictures of the suspect, sharing them with nearby businesses. An hour later, someone recognized the suspect and notified police. Officers found the suspect a short time later and arrested the 36-year-old without incident. He's facing charges of first-degree voyeurism, with at least one adult woman listed as a victim. Police say thanks to the awareness of citizens and quick action, they were able to arrest the suspect. Over in Benton County, it was a busy night for deputies. What started as one friend stealing from another, it turned into a felony theft arrest. When deputies arrived, the suspect had barricaded himself in the rafters, as you can see from this picture. At first, he refused to come down, but then deputies fired a pepper ball, and that changed his mind. However, deputies added he still put up a fight. Eventually, they got him into custody, and he now faces theft charges. In Findlay, a driver is facing charges after deputies say he was blocking a road with a drink in hand. County Sheriff's deputies responded to Haney Road in Findlay after getting reports of a man blocking the southbound lane. Deputies say they saw an open beer in the center console, and when they spoke to the man, he was highly intoxicated. He was arrested and booked into jail on DUI charges. Deputies were also kept busy over the weekend, responding to multiple instances where people were stealing items out of cars in the Riata area and are asking anyone who sees anything suspicious to contact them via their non-emergency line. 2 separate power outages affected about 2,400 people in Richland last night. The city says folks from McMurray to Williams and then from Thayer West to G-Way were affected in the first outage that was started by a faulty switch cabinet, say officials. Crews then responded to a second outage, which started just after 5 p.m. The power has been since restored to that area. Meanwhile, Richland city leaders need your input on the long-range roadmap for the Atomic City. Wednesday evening in the council chambers, the Planning Commission will focus solely on the comprehensive plan, which includes economic development, public facilities, transportation, and more. Leaders say they want input from citizens and have a survey open now through November 17th. For those attending the meeting, it begins at 6 p.m. sharp with a Q&A session after the main presentation. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the overall national veteran unemployment rate has been steady in the 3% range for a while now, and women veterans in particular have the highest rate at 4.4%. But a local group looks to address that by hosting a veteran and military spouses resume workshop. From 2 to 4 p.m. Wednesday, you can join WorkSource Columbia Basin over on Kellogg Street for an interactive session with employers, polishing up the resume, crafting a cover letter, and mastering an interview. Just a few of the resources available. Seats are limited, though, so you're going to want to get there early. The city of Hermiston is making a change to how it handles certain court cases because of a lack of public defenders. The city council voted to transfer misdemeanor court cases to circuit court, a decision that follows months of difficulty recruiting public defenders. The only other option was to come up with an estimated $400,000 to match Oregon Public Defense Commission standards. The council says choosing that option would have forced them to make cuts elsewhere. And sticking in the Beaver State, a traveling replica of the Vietnam Wall is giving Eastern Oregonians a chance to honor those killed in the Vietnam conflict. The American Veterans Traveling Tribute Wall is on display this week at the Tumustlick Cultural Institute in Pendleton. The nearly 400-foot replica features more than 58,000 names of Americans who lost their lives in the Vietnam War. It is open to the public through today, offering a chance for reflection and remembrance close to home.
My father-in-law served in Vietnam in 1968, and so I know what it means to him. He's also somebody who's never got to D.C. to see this, the actual monument.
Now, the traveling wall has toured communities across the country for more than 2 decades, bringing the memorial experience to those who can't make the trip to the nation's capital.
The healing that this wall does. I mean, I've seen grown men just break down and cry, and just because just seeing a simple name, their buddies' names on here, and just etched on a piece of aluminum. It's so powerful.
Now, the wall will remain on display until Wednesday morning. Tributes to those who lost their lives in other U.S.-involved conflicts, as well as September 11th, are also at the site for people wishing to pay their respects. Many places in the Tri-Cities will be closed today in observance of Veterans Day. Business offices for the police and fire departments will be closed, although, of course, emergency services will remain available. Banks and libraries will also be closed. As for garbage collection services, though, they will continue as normal. And meanwhile, today is Veterans Day. We've been talking about that for a bit now. 24 hours to honor and celebrate the men and women who have served our nation, protecting our freedom. Now, some ceremonies to recognize the veterans have already happened, like yesterday at West Valley High. KIMA's Ty Therian reports.
The Veterans Day Assembly was put together by the JROTC program at WVHS. Before the assembly, veterans were invited to enjoy breakfast and each other's company. I spoke with a member of the JROTC, Emmett Funkhauser, and he explained to me why it's so important to give back to the veterans.
It's so important for us to give back to the veterans because what they did for our country and what we could do for them, we just try to do everything possible because, you can't explain what they did. They just served for our country, they risked their lives, and now they're here, so we support them as much as we can.
The assembly began with introducing veterans from all branches of the military. It was emotional to be in the crowd, honoring the men and women who risked their lives for our freedom. The ceremony just concluded and it was absolutely beautiful. The students and staff here at West Valley High School did an amazing job putting this event together. Besides just celebrating the 250 years of service, they also recognize the fallen World War II veteran as well. The World War II veteran was Commander Gabriel. Gabriel had served in the Air Force and recently passed away at the age of 102. Gabriel had a profound impact on the JROTC program. Cadence Ballou, another member of JROTC, spoke on why Commander Gabriel meant so much to their program.
We are honoring Commander Gabriel, who has recently passed. He was a great friend of our colonel and to Master Sergeant Bynum. So just honoring him, honoring all the veterans, it's a great message.
The band played taps to honor the fallen brothers and sisters. This was followed by a speech commemorating Gabriel and all that he has done for this country, while also taking a moment of reflection on all that we have to be thankful for. Reporting for KMA Action News, I'm Ty Therian.
KMA's Ty Therian, thank you. The city of Pasco will be one of several places in the region honoring local service members today with a Veterans Day ceremony. Their event will start at 3 o'clock at Volunteer Park and will feature several keynote speakers, including local veterans and community leaders.
And just to kind of kick off a new start for Veterans Day here with City of Pasco at a new location, help support us over here and kind of get things rolling into the future.
Now, as for some of the other Veterans Day events, Kennewick will be hosting a ceremony at Columbia Park that starts at 11 a.m. and Prosser is planning a parade that also starts at 11, hosted by the Prosser Chamber of Commerce and the Prosser VFW Post 3702. Veterans in the community are welcome to participate by walking or driving in the parade, regardless of VFW membership. Spectators can watch the parade as it begins and ends at Prosser City Park, traveling down 7th Street to Bennett Avenue, across Bennett to 6th Street, up 6th Street to Prosser Ave, and then back to the park. Now, the VFW will perform a gun salute and play taps at the flagpole by Depot Square, and again at the intersection of 6th Street and Meade Avenue. In Kittitas County, there will also be a Veterans Day parade in downtown Ellensburg. That event is being organized by the veterans with the Chamber of Commerce. That parade begins at 11 a.m. and runs until noon. Meanwhile, later in the day, the Veterans Barbecue, hosted by the International Association of Firefighters Local 662, will follow that Ellensburg parade. The annual barbecue for veterans and their families is at Kittitas Valley Fire and Rescue at 400 East Mountain View Ave, where complimentary food and drinks will be served. Now, for the past few days, certain buildings in Ellensburg have been lit up green. This is to honor veterans as part of the nationwide Operation Green Light. The buildings clad in the green include the police station, Ellensburg City Hall, certain buildings at Central Washington University, and the public library, among others. Over in Yakima, the community is honoring its veterans and all U.S. military members with the 2025 Veterans Day Parade in downtown, sponsored by the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 379. The parade will begin at 10:45 a.m. at the intersection of Yakima Avenue and 6th Street. The route will continue west on Yakima Ave to 6th Ave, and it is scheduled to end at 12:30 p.m. Organizers anticipate about 750 participants and at least 50 vehicles in the parade. There will be no traffic or parking allowed on Yakima Ave between 6th Street and 6th Ave from 8:45 a.m. until the parade is completed. Civil Air Patrol's Deputy Commander Jack Parker is the Grand Marshal, and we spoke with him yesterday about what he believes he'll be thinking about when he's riding down Yakima Ave.
Just the sheer prestige that they asked me to do this, and I get I'm not really good at hand waving, but I will probably do a lot of saluting.
Now, veterans are being invited out for free meals at a number of places in our area. One of those, the Yakima Steak Company over on West Yakima Avenue, is hosting a Veterans Day lunch throughout the day. From 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., vets and their families are welcome. You're encouraged to make a reservation, though. We have that information up on our website. And veterans are also being invited to Better Auto Sales in Yakima. They're hosting their annual Veterans Day lunch from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. with lunch provided by Famous Dave's and Coca-Cola. All veterans are invited to that event at 914 South 1st Street in Yakima. We spoke with one of their managers who also happens to be an Army veteran.
All that serve, regardless of the branch, even reservists, National Guard, Coast Guard, we celebrate and recognize all our veterans. And, we're not doing this to try to sell any additional cars. I mean, I can't tell you the last time we sold a veteran that came to this event, because that's really not what we're trying to do.
And as we reported last week, there is a way to help veterans who need it amid the government shutdown. Some local groups are working to help secure food for former and active military members and their families. The two Yakima-based groups want to ensure that all veterans are fed during the longest government shutdown in history, especially if they lost SNAP benefits.
A couple of weeks ago, the American Legion and the VFW got together because of the government shutdowns and the SNAP benefits being cut. We figured that veterans in a whole would need some help. So we decided that we would do a food drive for them.
You can donate both food and money to the Yakima VFW and American Legion. Those details are up on our Facebook page. And with that, let's jump right over to meteorologist Jefferson Donovan for a look out of our window this morning. It seems like you can't see much given all that dense fog coverage, maybe possibly extending on into some of those veterans events this morning?
Yeah, potentially. I would say up to around 10 a.m. or so is when this fog is really going to start lifting. So if you are going out to some of those earlier Veterans Day events, just be mindful that you might have to contend with some of this fog. Now, we are seeing patchy, dense fog all the way around the forecast area. Even though this is just the Tri-Cities weather cam, this also can be extended to places such as Moxie and parts of the Yakima Valley, even out towards Walla Walla. And you really just cannot see much, just a wall of gray outside.
Yeah,
again, speaking to the dense nature of some of this fog, by the afternoon the fog is going to lift and we are going to get to partly cloudy skies. Anticipate high temperatures in the Tri-Cities today to reach the low to mid-50s. Highs today will reach the mid-50s for the Yakima Valley today, low to mid-50s in the Kittitas Valley, with slightly warmer temperatures potentially into the mid-upper 50s for the Blue Mountain foothills. Now, as we go into the next 2 days after today, so Wednesday and Thursday, we are going to see more clouds in the sky on Wednesday, mostly cloudy skies with just some sun breaks. As we get into Thursday, we're going to be looking at a good chance of rainfall around the forecast area, and in many cases, temperatures are actually going to be warmer as well. So rainfall arrives on Thursday, but also seeing a bit of a warm-up on Thursday too. Let's take a look at the storm tracker feature cast. No precipitation for today or tomorrow, but on Thursday, we are going to welcome widespread precipitation into eastern Washington and northeast Oregon. We will continue to see this widespread rainfall through late Thursday evening. As we do progress into Friday, we will see even more widespread rainfall. In fact, if you joined us yesterday, this is the biggest departure in the forecast. Yesterday, we really weren't thinking Friday was going to be a wet day, but models have really dampened things up for the final day of the work week. As we go through the weekend, slight chances of showers will exist on Saturday, but then as we go into Sunday, we will be tracking another weather maker that potentially could be moving into our forecast area as we do head into the mid to late afternoon hours on Sunday. There's still a lot of uncertainty with that forecast. I just want to let you know that is a possibility. Now let's focus on the end of the work week time period, Thursday and Friday. Snow levels on Thursday are going to be falling quite rapidly. In fact, by Thursday evening, we could see snow levels down to around 4,500 feet. So that means White Pass could start picking up snow as soon as Thursday evening. As we go into your overnight hours, Thursday into early Friday morning, snow levels will be falling down to around 3,500 feet. And in fact, even though Snoqualmie Pass is about 3,200 feet or so, I still believe all of our mountain passes, including Snoqualmie Pass, will likely pick up snowfall during that overnight Thursday into Friday morning time frame. And then even Friday afternoon, snow levels are only going to be at about 4,000 feet. So White Pass and Stevens Passes could continue to see snowfall. So if you have travel plans towards the end of the week, just be aware that the mountains could be pretty slippery. This is something we will track closely through the next couple of days, but right now I'm going to toss it over to Dave.
Thanks, Jefferson. We're going to move on to some election coverage this morning. Yakima County just released the new batch of election results last night, the first since Friday's count. And there are now about 110 ballots left to be processed, with a turnout of some 26%. Some races, though, statistically still remain too close to call. We're going to start with the City of Yakima Proposition 1. That's Yakima City Prop 1, not Yakima County Prop 1. That would have increased property taxes to provide $6 million for the city's general funds. And it remains unchanged this morning, standing at 49% in favor and 51% against, with a margin greater than the votes left to count. The proposition has failed to pass. In Zilla, the mayoral candidates were separated by just 9 votes on election night, and now Scott Carmack has a clear lead and appears to have secured that race. He has 54% of the vote compared to 46% for his opponent, Jacob Castillo. And in Sunnyside, the 5 school district director positions are now confirmed. In the closest remaining race on Friday, Anna Science now leads with 53% to Monica Guillen's 45% and has won the race for District 1. Up in Natchez, the incumbents, Mr. and Mrs. Hauver, were both in statistical deadlock with their opponents for the 2 council seats up for grabs. In position 1, Wayne Hauver now stands at 46%, while his opponent, Andrew Matala, looks to be able to call the win with 53% of the votes counted. Over in position 3, Kit Hauver maintains her lead and would appear to have secured re-election. She now stands on 53% compared to the 47% of votes in favor of her opponent, David Roberts. And the most competitive race still to be called for the Toppenish City Council is position 4. Just 4 votes separated Laura Canfield and Ron Hall on Friday, and the latest vote count shows there's no change. Canfield stands on 169 votes, or about 50%, while total vote for Hull is 165 votes, about 49%. 7 votes went to write-in candidates. The candidate only needs to win by just 1 vote. Now, just a reminder, all of the election results can be found up on our website. That's KIMATV.com. The next election update will be when the county auditor certifies the final results on November 25th. Switching gears, check this out. Pasco is creating a year-round indoor space for competitive high school sports. The Memorial Aquatic Park inflatable pool dome has been in the works since 2018, and the city is working on installing it now, as well as extensive deck work for proper drainage, air conditioning, and a backup generator. They plan on putting the dome in place mid-September, taking it down in March of each year.
We'll provide that year-round indoor space especially for competitive swim teams like the high schools and other teams here. A much larger facility than what's here in the Tri-Cities indoor currently. So we have 7 lanes of practice in there.
Now, there will be drop-in times as well that are open to the public. You can visit their site for more information. And a local recovery center is having a Christmas tree sale to help raise funds. Each holiday season for the past 11 years, Adult and Teen Challenge Pac West have hosted it. The money raised goes directly to their recovery program. More than 600 trees are sold each year. In addition, they also donate trees to families in need. But they are asking the community for some help.
From co-occurring problem from drug addiction, mental health problems, we take them in and we set them up with all the services in our community if we don't provide it ourselves. So every dollar that we raise goes towards us helping that. Not everyone in addiction has the ability to help financially, and so we are a nonprofit, and so we fundraise every day, all year round, to help bring people into our program.
Now, a client through the Adult and Teen Challenge says this program changed his life in a year. He's now set to go to Hawaii to advocate for those who need recovery. He says these donations are important to their center.
Here we cooked cookies all night. We got gifts Christmas morning. It's very awesome because a lot of people learn to hate the holidays in addiction because you're alone, you're cold, high or drunk, you're alone. That's a big one. And being in this program, you have a sense of family.
Now, prices for Christmas trees start at $56. They'll be sold at South Hills Church in Kennewick and Westside Auto Licensing in Pasco starting November 28th. But that does it for us. Thank you for watching this episode of Keeper Quick. For more local news and weather, you can head over to our websites. It's Keeper and KIMATV.com, as well as our Facebook pages. But while you're here, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with our latest mini newscasts Monday through Friday. But before we let you go, it is Veterans Day. The holiday dates back to November 11th of 1918. That's when the truce between U.S. allies and Germany to end World War I was signed on the 11th day of the 11th month at the 11th hour. President Woodrow Wilson originally proclaimed it as Armistice Day. In 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower officially renamed it to Veterans Day. Taking a live look right now over at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. To all of those who have served, thank you from all of us here at Keeper KIMA.